Matt Bean here with BuiltRight Industries. Today I'm going to show you how to install our cab wall MOLLE panel on your Rivian R1T. Let's check it out. Alright, so we're going to need a ratchet, a 10mm socket. You may or may not want to use an extension. Makes it easier for me. We've got a pick tool of some sort. This is strongly recommended, although a small screwdriver might do the trick. And then I've got a 5/32 Allen key here. You may find a metric equivalent that's going to work for you, but I'm using a 5/32, so let's get into it. Alright, so we've got our cab wall kit here for the R1T. They come boxed something like this. Be careful not to jam your knife too far down there. First thing you're going to see is a sticker, thank you card, install guide. I'm going to set those aside. You're going to have a hardware kit. That should be everything you need to install these panels. I'm going to set that aside as well. Some packing material. We've got our first panel. And then we have our second panel. Alright, so I'm going to go through our hardware kit here. I threw a piece of paper down in the bed, otherwise some of these black round pieces have a tendency to roll away or get lost. And I'm just going to cut these open one by one, show you what we're working with. So you're going to have 8 of these M5 stainless bolts. 8 of these machined aluminum countersunk washers. These are 8 plastic retaining washers. We have 8 spacers here. And then we've got 3 smaller bolts that are going to connect the 2 panels. Okay, so really quickly before we start assembling our panels, I'm just going to run through the hardware that we're using. So we have our M5 stainless bolt. The first thing this is going to pass through is our countersunk washer. You can see that's really nice. Your bolts are going to be a black finish. These are pre-production. Then we're going to pass this through the panel and then into the spacer, like so. And then this is kind of the slick part that makes this installation smooth. We're going to use this plastic retaining washer over the bolt. You're going to feel a little resistance, that's fine. That's the idea. You're going to push it down so that it locks into place there just like that. That's going to keep your spacer and bolt assembly on the panel as we're moving it into position. Alright, so we're going to start with our driver's side panel here. I've got my M5 bolt. I'm going to put it through the washer and then through the panel. Then I'm going to put the spacer over the bolt, making sure that the printed side of the spacer is against the panel. And then finally I'm going to put our retaining washer over the end of the bolt and push it down nice and snug just like that. Alright, so now that we've prepped this installation point, we're going to repeat that process on each of the 4 holes here. Those 4 points are where we're going to mount this panel, and then we'll get it fitted to the truck. Alright, so 2 things to note. We're going to start with the passenger side panel. That is the panel I'm showing here with the jog and the threaded inserts in it. The other thing to note is that the front side of that panel is the side where these threaded inserts are not protruding. So what you're looking at here is the back side. That's the side that our spacers are going to sit against. Alright, so I've got my passenger side panel down here now. Before I hop into the bed, I'm going to do the driver's side so I've got everything I need to finish the install. So now that we've prepped our panels, we're going to go ahead and prep the cab wall. The first step there is to remove these 8 circular plastic covers that are covering our mounting points. Alright, so here we're going to use a pick tool. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get the pick tool just barely under the edge of the thing there. I'm going to push it in just a bit. And I'm going to pry out. You can see it start to come. I'm pulling. You may have to try a couple of times. If it doesn't work like that, move 30, 45 degrees around it. And try again. You can see there it goes. The reason is those pinch in different spots of this metal cup here. So if you're not having any luck, just move around the circle a bit. One thing to note, so now that I've got this off, I'll show you, is if you're trying to get too far under here, you're going to end up with the pick tool under the metal lip of this cup, and you're going to be just fighting yourself. You're going to bend your pick tool. I was poking into this plastic lip just very shallowly in order to get the leverage. So you do not want to end up prying on this metal cup because you're just going to bend whatever tool you're using. All right, so with our plastic cover off, I'm going to use my 10mm socket here to remove this bolt. I'm going to pull it off along with the metal cup and set it aside. Now that you've got this one fully exposed, go ahead and repeat that for the other 7 mounting points and we'll get our panels mounted. So we've got our 8 metal cups here. We are reusing these, so make sure you keep track of those. These plastic covers we will not be reusing, but of course, put those in a safe spot. You may want them someday. All right, we've got our prepped cab wall and our prepped passenger side panel. You can get a feeling for where this panel fits. The reason we're starting with the passenger side is because this mounting lip here that helps us mount the driver's side is going to get in the way of mounting the driver's side if we start with the other panel. So again, passenger side first. The last thing we're going to do before we install the panel is put our metal cups back on here. I'm going to put this into position on the spacer there with the cup side facing out on the spacers in each of the 4 positions, and then we'll carefully lift the panel into place. Once the panel's in place, get each of the 4 bolts started loosely. Don't tighten anything down until the very, very end. So now obviously we've got the driver's side panel. We're going to go ahead and prep each of these points with the metal cup and lift it into place just like we did on the passenger side. All right, the next step before we tighten anything down is going to be to attach the 2 panels using the 3/4 20 screws provided. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Once again, get all 3 started loosely before you tighten anything up. Once we have all 3 started loosely, we'll have an opportunity to make sure that the 2 panels are straight together before we snug everything up. I look for this seam to be straight. It looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to snug these up. Finger tight is good. You do not need to crank these down. All right, so the final step is just going to be tightening down our mounting points here. Feel it move around a little bit. You know we've got some space. As you're tightening down, you're going to kind of feel the panel find a good, comfortable spot. Comfortable panel is a happy panel. Alright, so with that, the installation of our cab wall MOLLE panel on our Rivian here is complete. If you have questions, comments, feedback, please feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email, find us on social media, and we'll get those answered quickly. If you're interested in seeing how we got from nothing to this design in production, check out our After Hours video series where we kind of walk you through it step by step, a little bit behind the scenes. Finally, if you got pictures of your gear mounted or your accessories mounted in your cab wall panels, we'd love to see them. Send them to us, post them on social, and get us tagged. That'd be great. And have a great one.